A very warm welcome and good afternoon to ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining me on time today for another Amazon Live webinar. So my name is Jun Liang and I am the senior trainer here in Amazon Seller Education team, and I'm located in Singapore, by the way. So today I'm going to share about logistic preparation manual and what you can do before, during, and after the peak seasons, or what we call the holiday shopping seasons. Before we begin, just want to let you know that all these sessions are recorded. So all the Amazon Live webinars are available for playback at our official YouTube channel. So if you have not subscribed, do go on and subscribe to our playlist, our channel. All right. And then you'll be notified if there's any new Amazon Live webinar series. So you can put a question into the Q&A box. And again, I will address it before we end the session. And last but not least, do ensure that if you are watching this recording a couple months down the road, so make sure to always refer to our latest video, or you can check back to Seller University or Seller Central for the most updated information, especially for things like policy updates, etc. So it's always good to look at the most up-to-date resources. All right. Some important notice, take a few seconds to read through it. All right, thank you. So this is what we'll be covering. What are the things that you can do before, during, and after the peak holiday seasons, right? So to give everybody an overview, this is the typical preparation timeline. All right, so you can see that there are certain things that you can do before any peak seasons, or what we call the events. So for example, like PFCM, or even the upcoming Prime Big Deal Days, or even the other peak season, that you can use this as guidelines, right? And this is for those sellers who are fulfilling their products, or fulfilling the products by themselves using the what we call the MFN, Merchant Fulfillment Network. All right. So this is also guidelines of what you can do before, during, and after. All right. So again, this is just an example. You might want to tweak the months according to some of the dates that you are aware of. So we do put some example here for last year Prime Day, and also for Black Friday as well. Now you may also want to factor in other considerations, such as your logistic partner, whether or not do they have any buffer that you need to be aware of, or any other changes. So do take into account when you're looking at these guidelines to serve as a overview. So what you can do during the selection preparation, now of course you need to have a production plan. So this is for sellers who are probably new to doing or making your own, or setting up your own product, or getting your own product ordered from the supplier or your manufacturer. So first of all, make sure you have a scheduling plan in advance. Consult your supplier regarding how much in advance you need to make those orders. So ensure that they have the supply of goods, so that you have ample time to make any changes if needed. All right. And then secondly is refer to some of the previous years peak season sales. All right, take into account the estimate sales volume, which if you do have any historical sales data, so that will help you do your planning as well to determine how much inventory that you will or are going to order during the peak seasons. Right. And thirdly, do set a timeline of your shipment or replenishment in advance. All right. So there are some recommendation or principle here is to have less quantity with higher frequency during the peak season. All right, so during the peak season, you can adjust the replenishment pace as needed if you need to. All right, so do make sure that you have a plan. I wanted to share is that for newer sellers, we do have what we call the FBA New Selection Program. These are some benefits available for new seller. All right, so a new seller, it's if you send in your inventory into the FBA Fulfillment Center within the 90 days after launching your first viable ASIN, and on after 1st of March this year, will be auto-enrolled. All right, so if you are the seller that is in this category, you don't need to manually enroll. You'll be auto-enroll in this program. All right, so what are the benefits, right? So you get free storage, free removals or C returns, customer returns. And on top of that, you also get the average monthly rebates of 10% for the sales of your eligible ASINs. Right. So there is a whole list of other benefits and requirements in the link, which I will share in the video description. So don't worry if you can't take note of everything here. But just key thing to note is that there are existing benefits to help sellers to kickstart their business in Amazon. Right, so this gives you an overview of this, what we call the shipping process. So there is what we call the STA, sent to Amazon. Right, so basically it's a step-by-step process to help you create your first shipment plan to send into the Amazon US Fulfillment Center. All right, so as of now, this will probably be the only FBA shipment creation process that you will see. So it's also fairly straightforward if you follow through the guide. So, but we also have videos and photo instructions, which is the link here that will be shared along in the video description when I upload the recording. So just make sure that you follow through the guide as well. So the advantages of this is that you can do batch processes with simpler workflow, and then you can also save your templates to reuse, and that save a lot of time of having to re-input certain information. All right. So this is a shipping timeline. So pay attention to the change of any fulfillment timeline. So adjust your shipping pace in a timely manner. Right. So this is just a guide. Right. I'm gonna just maybe zoom in here for you. Right. This table here, I think is critical. So there's a lot of info in most of our slides. So I will just make sure that I focus on what I think is really important for sellers. All right. So this is the door-to-door average transit time. You can use it as a guideline and also factor in the buffer timing. Especially during peak season, you might want to add in maybe like 1 to 2 weeks more to factor in the delivery potential, delays, etc. Right. So by shipment, the most cost-effective one, it would take about 65 days to 70 days on average. So that's about 2.5 months. Okay, depending on which part of the warehouse is located in. And then of course there are faster way like air freight or express delivery. Now of course, the lesser delivery time will also means the cost may be higher. So do take into account as well when you're doing your planning. All right. Now, this is what for most of our FBA sellers, our advice would be to arrange your transportation in advance. All right. Consult your carrier, your logistic shipment partner in advance to understand the timeline. All right. And then do any form of advance reservations for inbound. So get a partner that is very familiar with the FBA inbounding process. So that will really help a lot. Right. And then if time and your business permit, you can use a faster transportation methods if you need it to be in faster. So also there are direct shipping or air shipping. Now again, this may be a little bit more costly than the usual shipping by sea. So do take that into account. And last but not least, we do also have what we call the Amazon official logistic, what we call the first mile logistic provider, which is the Amazon Global Logistic, or we call it AGL. Or there's another what we call the SEND, SEND here, which is the Amazon Cross-Border Carrier Partner Program. So there are some carrier which Amazon partner with that you can get better rates, etc. So again, this info will be shared. You can go take a look. Most importantly, to know that there are programs and services available to help sellers to kickstart their FBA shipment process into the Amazon Fulfillment Center. Now for MFN sellers, so sellers who are fulfilling the product yourself, all right, so we will recommend you to contact your fulfillment center and warehouse to ensure the pickup and delivery operations are, operation at normal during the peak seasons period, right? And if needed, You can do the following as well. Right. So do note that if you are using fulfilling your products, you using your own provider, your own delivery partner, etc., you might want to ensure that if you are not around during certain period, do enable this what we call the vacation mode. All right. So if not, your account health may be impacted because let's say if you're on holiday, or if you're not working certain period of the time, and then if some customer makes an order, you won't be able to fulfill on time, and then it will have an impact on your account health in terms of those delivery rates that you need to delivery metrics that you need to adhere to. All right. So this only applies for MFN listing. All right. So you can see if you are using FBA, then you will not have this issue because Amazon warehouse will fulfill the products for you once your product is in the fulfillment center in Amazon. All right. So you can reference this as well, the workflow for MFN seller, right? You can see. All right. And then there is a delivery time setting. You can use this as well, right? For seller who are shipping your own products, you're using your own delivery, your own carrier, right? So there is this option, what we call the shipping setting automation SSA. All right. So it will help you save time in terms of setting your shipping time, the expected delivery time. All right. This is a free feature for seller who do self shipping, which is the MFN. And then you can use this feature to accurately, dynamically calculate the delivery time based on the selected carrier and the kind of products. All right, I hope everyone is still with me. Now, going forward, this section is going to be a little bit wordy because it's all the essential steps, and I don't want to, reduce the wording because it's important. But I will just focus on some of the golden rules, key points, and then when you're watching the recording, you can pause and take a read in details if you need to, right? So this is about FBA inbound preparation, meaning that what you need to prepare before sending your products into Amazon Fulfillment Center. All right. Now, the first rule, check your inventory capacity limit. So as with all the sellers, there is a capacity limit, right? So if you are new or you are existing, you might probably have a fixed limit. And also if you have existing inventory, you might have already used some of your capacity limit. Now do go into your managed inventory in your FBA inventory seller central page to look at the capacity, right, before you do any inbounding. Right, if you do not have enough capacity, your stocks might be stranded, etc., or it may be delayed due to the unavailable space available. All right. So check the inbound quantity and what's the available inventory capacity for inbounding FBA. Right. Next is make sure, other than checking the capacity, you want to make sure that the product that you're sending in are not restricted, in the sense that there's no any form of additional certification required. All right. So if there is, you need to make sure that you have to get it approved, etc., before sending in. All right. Now the next most important one is to match and complete listing, meaning that your label that you're going to print out when you create your shipment plan, make sure that whatever that you are going to print out and attach and paste it onto your product, make sure that it is the right one as per your listing. All right, so always check that the EAN or UPC matches the ASIN, and then which also matches the FBA identifier, all right, the FNSKU. All right. Next, you need to prepare your product diligently. So for this, right, these are the packing tips. Ensure that your product are packed properly. All right. So you need to make sure that you have the right package safety notice, the tightness and strength, proper labeling, etc. All right. And also make sure that if your product are meltable or with expiration date, it has to be labeled correctly. To give you a guide over here, this is packing tips to follow and not to follow, right? All right. So the other steps of the golden rule is to make sure that, again, pack the product well. If you do not pack it well, you will have this issue. All right, these are the real photos that we actually retrieve from the fulfillment centers. All right, so if the packaging is not done well per the guidelines, right, if you're using like cable ties or staples, that kind of materials that could easily cause this issue here. All right. And then things like if you do not have your outer packaging, if you directly use a sales packaging, it can be easily damaged during transportations. And then also you can see here is that too much packaging is also not recommended. All right, it's been wrapped too many and too thick until it is so hard to separate the shipment, or it can cause the shipment to bulge. Right, these are all not recommended. All right. For the safety purpose also, the side of the carton should not exceed 63.5 cm. All right, for the US fulfillment center. All right. And also there are packaging requirements like this. All right. So like the previous example, you should not use any the carton should not be tied with packing straps or elastic band, etc. Right? These are not the recommended materials, right? Right, so you can see over here on the left, what is the examples of recommended packaging material, and then on the right side is those that is not recommended. Right. Next one to note is if you are having heavy items, do make sure that you put this labeling as well. Is according to the regulations. All right. So the third one is to make sure you label the product properly. Sorry. Yep. So do take note of the different labeling. All right. What are the common label barcodes that you need according to your product? All right. So do not have any other additional marking through the barcode, etc. All right. And here is the Amazon barcode. So Amazon barcode is a product barcode provided by Amazon to identify and track product. Right. Amazon barcode must be affixed to all products that are not tracked with manufacturer codes. All right. So these are some of the categories that you need to have Amazon barcode. All right, external use product, product with an expiry date, consumer products, product with prep completed but barcode is unscannable. So again, these are some demonstration of incorrect labeling. So make sure that you do not label it this way. All right. Right, the golden rule 4 is make sure your carton content is correct. Right, what you listed there and what you put in your shipment plan and what is being packed is accurate. And then golden rule number 5 is to make sure you standardize your shipment. Right. Choose a reliable carrier, that is really important. Right, so do your due diligence first before you decide on which are the carrier that you're going to use. Do not just solely look at the price. You need to take into other factors as well. Right, last is a lot of text, but one thing you note is to make sure that you fill up the accurate carrier name and tracking information. Right, so this will really help the fulfillment center to be aware if you have a tracking number to avoid any delays, etc. Right, because a tracking number will be will be able to help Amazon assess your delivery. All right. So just need to recap. Remember the 6 golden rules. Okay, check your inventory capacity, and then match and complete the listing. Prepare your product diligently. Provide accurate carton content. Standardize your shipment, and fill in the correct carrier name and tracking information as soon as you have it. Now we're going to what happens during the period of peak season. Now, first of all, make sure you have a good inventory health, meaning that in inventory health, try to keep your weeks of cover around 4 to 8. All right, so this make sure that this will ensure you have sufficient stocks in the event of having any sales. All right, so keep your inventory limit within the 4 to 8 weeks of cover. That is the most important in terms of your inventory health. So this is the capacity monitors to show you that you are able to monitor your capacity at the bottom. So when you go to your FBA inventory performance dashboard page, you can see the capacity monitor. Next is if you do realize that you might need additional capacity, you can also get additional storage, all right, to increase your capacity limit. Of course, there will be a fee to do that, so do take note of that. So last but not least, I also want to share that we have what we call the used to be called FBA Small and Light Program, right? This has ended in July this year, July 17, right? So for sellers who are selling smaller items, usually items that is under $10, will be able to enjoy what we call these rates for the smaller price item. So do take note on the August 29 this year, the FBA Small and Light program is now has ended and is now called the low price FBA rates will be introduced. Right. So products that you price under $10 USD will automatically receive these low price FBA rates and together with the same delivery speed as the standard FBA. So low price FBA rate are 0.77 cents lesser than the standard FBA rates. Right now, however, there are some other information to take off of, like the chart over here. I will share the link as well. Right, so do take note that if you have a product that is under $10, it will automatically receive the low price FBA rates. And it also depends on which sizing tiers your product is and which product category. All right. All right, so once again, do take note that the Small and Light program is no longer available, so it's now being replaced by the low price FBA rates. So what you can do, or rather, after the peak season, when the sales peak season is over, what can you do further? So a couple of things here, right? There is one of the way to expand your site, meaning that you can sell in other market, and the other way is to promote the sales using the eligible merchandising tools like coupon, prime exclusive discount, or you can even transfer some of your inventory to other warehouses. Or last but not least, there is various inventory removal programs to help you recover the remaining value of your inventory. Right, you can see I actually highlighted the second box. So I think this would likely be the most recommended action to take, because by promoting using the vouchers, etc., you will still get sales in a way rather than if you were to do the other steps. But again, really depends on what's your strategy, right? So these are some of the things you need to take note of for sell ship seller. So you are using MFM, meaning you'll fulfill your product yourself. You need to make sure that you have these return policies. All right. So there is also this thing called return provider program. So when a buyer, your customer initiate a return, so the seller is required to provide a return address within the country or region that the buyer is located for the site that is seller is selling the product. Meaning that in this case of the Amazon.com, you need to have a return address in the US, right? And then the seller can choose the return provider suitable for their return, and then to collaborate with them to get the items returned, right? So just need to know that there is this function available in Seller Central if you are doing self-ship, right? You go to manage return and you can find there will be a list of the provider, right? You can choose the list of service provider that you want to collaborate with to take care of the returns. And then once you selected that, the provider will receive your contact and they will reach out to you to see how you want to collaborate in terms of that. Right, so some quick or rather some frequently asked question that we see from most of our seller is that if our listing is on Amazon.com, does the FBA in SG ship to FBA in US for a customer? So the question is more of whether or not if you are selling in the Amazon.com, does the fulfillment center in Singapore ship to ship to the customers who bought something in the US? So the answer is no, actually. So if you want to sell to Amazon.com US customer, you need to ship it to the US fulfillment center. Even though in Singapore we do have the Singapore fulfillment center, it is actually different, right? So you will have to ship it to the US fulfillment center. Now, however, depending on use case, if your idea or your intention is to sell internationally, meaning that you want to sell to not just US, you can enroll in the FBA export program and you can store the inventory in North America Fulfillment Center, and then it will be available to shoppers in the other country as well. All right, so next common question is that to utilize FBA fulfillment by Amazon, is there a minimum weight or quantity requirement? So there is actually no minimum weight, all right, but usually if your product is more than 30 kg, we will not recommend due to the shipping fee and the storage fee and sizes, etc. Right? So it will be a little bit more costly, but again, it also depends on your overall sales business strategy. Right, you can use a calculator there to find out what is the range of the fee. You can do some comparison between shipping with your own carrier or storing with your own inventory versus if you were to send in to the FBA fulfillment center. Right, another two frequently asked question is, if you're going to use FBA, right, is there any chance that the product is returned and what is the reason? Right, so depending on what type of return you're referring to, if you are referring to the shipment that you ship to is returned, then you will have to file a removal order. So meaning that if you were to ship something to the Amazon Fulfillment Center, FC, in US, and then somehow, for some reason, it's, perhaps just an example, is not compliant or etc., or it can't be sold or it's a restricted item, that Amazon FC cannot accept it, then you will need to file a removal order and provide an address um, that the fulfillment center can return to, and it has to be a local address, all right? Meaning that it has to be a US address, right? Then from then on, then you might have to, let's say if you don't locate in US, you might need to work with the logistic as well to maybe ship it back to the country that you are in, which if you want to get the item back, right? Depending on your situation, right? Which is the second point I'm referring to. For international return, you gotta engage your own shipping provider, all right? Now, if it's the customer return, meaning that your customer bought your items and maybe it's faulty or for some reason they initiate the return, that will be handled by Amazon if you are using Amazon FBA. So you don't have to do anything. If the seller were to if the buyer were to engage a return, all right, so Amazon will handle it for you. And then you can see the return reason in your Seller Central account. You'll be able to see what is the reason for return, because the buyer, the customers will input their reason for the return. So the other question is, what if my stock gets in only after the shipment cutoff date due to shipment delay? Does that mean that I cannot run any promotion? All right. So there is a cutoff date if you're not aware for any tier one or any top sales season event like Prime Big Deal Days or Black Friday, Cyber Monday, etc. Right? There will be a cutoff date for the shipment inbounding of your product. All right. So if your product, your shipment somehow arrives later than the cutoff date, it will actually take a longer time to check in. All right. So there are cases where your inventory still managed to get checked in during, for the event day itself, but that's not something that the Amazon can guarantee. All right. So it's best to make sure you buffer in the time to ensure your shipment arrives before or during the cutoff date. It's possible because there's going to be a lot of shipment coming in, which is why the cutoff date is to make sure that all shipment can reach the fulfillment center on time and can be on time, be available for any form of promotions you want to run during the sales event. All right, if you need more information, you can go to Seller University. There will be a lot of the information there that you can track your learning progress. And also we have a new one-pager guide regarding logistic preparation. So you can download this by scanning the QR code. I'll leave it here for a couple of seconds. And if not, the link will also be shared in the video description later. So don't worry about that. All right, these are all the references that I'm using throughout, so I will share in the video description. All right, I've reached the end of the session today. If you have any question, let me know in the Q&A. Now, meanwhile, just to share that we have some other upcoming webinar series over here. You can see, depending on which topic you're interested in, do go and register so that you can get notified before the session. And again, even if you somehow didn't get to attend, don't worry, we also share the recording. So long you register, you'll be able to receive updated information on where you can watch the playback, etc. All right. So put in your question in the Q&A box. I'm going to take a look at it right now. All right. Thank you everyone once again for your time here today. I really appreciate all your participation. I don't see any more questions in the Q&A box already. So if you have more questions, do let us know. If not, you can join in any of our upcoming sessions and we'll be there to address any of the question live before or during the webinar. All right. So I'll see you at the next session soon. Have a good weekend, everyone. Goodbye.